Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. Everybody needs that game on their shelf that has the capacity to play for any kind of player. Anybody who's sitting at the table will enjoy the game. Okay, whether it's a for hardcore gamer at the table, a casual gamer, a non-gamer, a family member, a small child. I mean, whoever's sitting at the table, they can enjoy. And this is one of those games. And one of the key elements to a game like that is how quick it is to learn. People get the idea of what's going on by turn two. Boom, 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 boom. And the thing is, this game, though, has a lot of layers to it. So when you're playing the game with casual gamers, it's one game. When you're playing it with hardcore gamers, it's another game, because there is a lot of strategy to it that is unintuitive when you first play. But it rapidly, open your eyes and you see what's going on, and you now know why it's a Mensa award-winning game. So today, I'm going to be gladly going over with you a tutorial of The Last Spike from Columbia Games. All right, so here we have The Last Spike all set up, and I want to show you something really impressive here, is all these rules fit on one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, okay? It's just there's 4 pages, but it's just a piece of paper folded up. That's it. So for as much depth as there is in this game, there is not much to learn, okay? It's just, the learning comes really after you start playing. So it's really impressive. Now, the object of the game is to get as much money as you can. This stuff right down here at the end of the game. It doesn't matter how many cards you have, how many tiles you have. None of that matters. Money is the only thing. And for a 4-player game, this can play 2 to 6 players, by the way, and be an enjoyable game for any of those. For a 4-player game, I have here $40,000 to start with. The blues count for $10,000, the reds count for $5,000, and the whites count for $1,000. And again, the object is to get all the money you can at the end of the game. So here's the game board for The Last Spike, and it depicts a number of cities from Sacramento to St. Louis and all the cities in between. And what your idea is to connect each city to each other by laying down track and connecting them. And when the 2 cities connect, everybody gets paid that has deeds on those cities. We'll get more of that later, but let's talk about the places themselves. Now, on all these spots, they have their own nomenclature. Like from Sacramento to Yuma, it's Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4. Of course, that's for the corresponding tiles that you'll lie down, okay? And when the last tile is laid down, the cities are connected, and everybody with a deed for those Sacramento and Yuma would get paid. All right. There is no duplicates on the board. These tiles are only meant for that one space, and there's only one tile for each one. So once you once you draw one of these tiles, it's yours, and you have full control over that spot for the rest of the game. You don't trade these. You don't send them back. You have them. Okay. So you have a lot of control, and that's a big part of the game. All right, so let's talk about deed cards now, which is an important part of the game because this is how you get paid. All right, now the first number on all the deeds is how much the deed costs to own. All right, now as you can see here, all the deeds cost absolutely nothing at the beginning of the game, and we'll get into that to a little bit. But as you take deeds off and they start getting acquired, then they start costing money. So Denver would cost 1,000, and as they get acquired, it goes up in price by 1,000 each time up until the last card, and there's only 5 cards for each city in the game. Okay, it is different though. Like Denver's first card is 1,000, but that's not like the truth for all of them. Like St. Louis here, it starts at 6,000 and goes up 1,000 each time. Now, why is that? That's because of the payoffs. All right. So as you can see here, these last few numbers is the amount of money you get paid when cities connect, depending on how many cards you own, okay? So if you own 1 Denver card, it's 5. If you own all 5, it's going to be 25,000 every time it connects. So for instance, let's take our example here of Sacramento to Yuma. So if somebody plays the last tile that connects Sacramento and Yuma, everybody with the Sacramento cards get paid, and same thing with Yuma. So if somebody had 3 Sacramento cards, they would get paid 27. If somebody had 3 Yuma cards, they would get paid 18,000. And if you had both cards, you get both amounts. All right. So that's how basically deeds work in the game. So you get all the tiles and you place them face down and you shuffle them, or you put them in the bag and mix them up, whatever it is you want to do. And everybody draws 4 tiles. All right. And then after that, you decide who's going to be the first player, whether it be the oldest, the youngest, who did the dishes, who brought snacks, whatever you want to do. And you start the first turn. All right, so the first thing you do on your turn is play a tile. You only play one a turn, but you have to play a tile. There's no getting around it. Okay, and this can lead to some sticky situations. So that when you play a tile, you just find a corresponding spot on the map. Again, there are no duplicates, whether the tiles or the spots on the map. So this V4 finds its home right here on the V4 spot. There's nowhere else it can go. And then afterwards, you pay an amount according to what the tile says. So V4, I'd pay 1,000 for, so I'd get rid of that. That's fine. But if I had chose to play X1, it would have cost me 5,000. Now it can actually get worse because if the tile that you play is not next to a city, like right here, V4 is next to Ogden, but another thing is you can play a tile that's next to another track that's already been laid. So now that I've played V4, I can play V3 without penalty on my next turn. All right, that would be just fine. But if V4 wasn't there and it would be not connected to anything, I'd actually end up paying double for that tile. That would cost me a whopping $6,000. Now, the next part's pretty simple. It's about land grants. And to qualify for one, if you are the first player to place a tile next to a city, like I've done here in Ogden, you get the first deed on that city. So I'd get Ogden, and that's why there was 0. And now everybody else has to pay. Now, you can only acquire one land deed card a turn. Okay, so if you got your land deed from a free land grant, you're good to go for the turn. But if not, you can still purchase a land deed from any open city. Now, what's an open city? An open city is a city that has given away its free land grant. In this case, Ogden is the only one that's eligible right now. All the other ones, it's the start of the game. So all the other ones are still got their land grants. So all players can only buy from Ogden right now. But as the free land grants go away, all the other cities will open up and be eligible for purchase. So after playing and paying for a tile, seeing if you get paid for any connections, getting a free land grant, or purchasing a land deed, the last thing you do is simply grab a tile and end your turn. And just as a reminder, folks, if you've come this far in the video, there's a good chance you've liked the video. I hope so anyway. Please take a moment to smash that like and subscribe button and just let me know I'm doing a good job. I do appreciate it. Now, in between each city, there's spots for 4 tracks, okay? And if you play the final tile that connects all 4 of those tracks together, you've connected the cities, and now you get paid. So you get paid for the 2 cities that connect. So Ogden and Denver, if you own any of those deeds, you get paid. So Ogden, you get paid $12,000 because I'd have 2 tiles or 2 deeds. And for Denver, I'd get paid $5,000 because I only have 1 deed there, for a total of $17,000. But wait, that's not all. Not only do you get paid, and this is the excruciating part of the game, everybody else gets paid as well. So basically, this player here had Ogden, 1 card in Ogden, he'd get 6, and he had 2 on Denver, so he'd get 10. And this guy only had Denver, so he'd only get 5. But the point is they're getting money. And this is one of the excruciating parts of the game that you got to think of, because sometimes you got cash flow problems. You have to play that tile to make sure you don't go broke. Or you have to play it because you only have so much money, and it's a cheap one like V4. It's only cost 1,000, but you're paying everybody else off, and they're almost about to go broke, and you don't want to pay it, or you don't want to play a tile because you want to try to get more Ogden cards or whatever and make sure that your payout gets higher, and you want to wait another term. But there are just circumstances where you got to play that tile, and this is where a lot of the strategy comes into the game. So in the case that you do find yourself low on funds and almost going broke, the only thing you can do is sell back your deeds, and you sell them back for half rounded up. So St. Louis would be worth 3, and Ogden would be worth 2,000, and you'd get that money right away that you can pay off anything you need to. And these cards go right back to where they were, and they are eligible to be bought. Now, play continues in this manner until somebody plays the last spike. So what is the last spike? The last spike is played when somebody plays a tile that connects Sacramento all the way to St. Louis. So in this case, tile B4 would connect everything. It would be Sacramento to Ogden, Ogden to Denver, Denver to Dodge City, on to St. Louis. That would be a complete connection. Just the same, it could be Sacramento to Yuma, Yuma to Denver, Denver to Ogden, then to Laramie, then to Omaha to St. Louis. Okay, it could be that wild connection. But either way, the game ends, but not before everybody gets paid that had that connection from the last 2 cities that were connected. So Dodge City and St. Louis would still get paid. None of these other ones would. All right, just the last two cities that were connected. Plus, the person that played the last spike gets a $20,000 bonus. And at that point, everybody counts up their money, and the person with the most money at the end of the game wins. So the last spike is really easy to learn, yet at the same time, there's a lot going on and your mind's constantly engaged. I've given you a few examples of what to look for already, but there's even more because that's just, things that you have to worry about, your cash flow and stuff. Really, you have to pay attention to what everybody else is doing because this is a big player speculation game because you don't get to see what everybody's tiles are. They're on blocks, so they face you. I didn't mention that before. That adds a level of mystery to everything. So you really got to kind of guess what they're going for. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes not so much. But the thing is, even with a six-player game where most games you have to worry about downtime, here you don't. First off, the game moves really like lightning anyway. But at the same time, you really want to watch what everybody else is doing so you can either thwart their plans or attach yourself to them. So even when they win, you win a little bit and you're not so far behind as the rest of those guys, right? So anyway, with the last spike, just to let you know, not only is it a Mensa Select winner, okay, also Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower did a video, and the link's down below, and gave it the seal of approval. What more do you need? By all means, Christmas is coming up. The last spike is going to be a great gift for you, even not for just for other people, but for you to have in your home. So when you have family coming over for the holidays, you have something to do while it's cold outside. So anyway, guys, that's the video for the last spike tutorial, and I'll see you next video.